right, we're now joined by Justin Lewis, Jason Kovar, and Coach Poole of the Thunderbird track and field team. After a very successful opening weekend, the Thunderbirds will be back in action this Thursday through Saturday. So we'll let Coach go ahead and give an opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions.
We always like to go to the Vegas meet because it's close, and that's our opener for the outdoor season. As you know, we just finished the indoor season in Bozeman, and the guys finished second, and so it gave us a couple weeks to rest and then get ready for UNLV. And the philosophy going into this meet was trying to simulate what conference is like. A lot of times you'll have to do 1, 2, 3 events at the conference championship, and so my call to my coaches were make sure we put athletes in more than one event and maybe 3 events if they can handle it right now, so that we prepare them for the conference championship, where I'm not expecting good performances. I just want to overload them and have them deal with that pressure. And so we put our athletes in each of our discipline in multiple events, and it actually turned out better than I thought. I did not expect to see the conference qualifying marks, the records, and top performances that we saw this weekend. So it was probably one of our best all-time openings as a track team, and so and for me, as I think about how we finished indoors, that it might get as close to that top spot is kind of exciting to see.
Jason, Coach just mentioned it. 3 qualifying marks for you this weekend. How did you feel out there?
I felt pretty good. We trained hard all week, so by the end of it, I was pretty tired, but felt good in each event, and hoping to keep that going into this weekend.
Is there a little bit of weight off your shoulders maybe that you got those 3 qualifying marks and now you can just work for the end goal here?
Yeah, there's just some comfort in that, and now I can just work on improving my all-time best marks each week.
Jason, Coach mentioned a little bit that he likes to put the pressure on you guys, get you in multiple events.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see that working to your advantage, especially this weekend?
It works really well. Gotta treat every meet like it's the conference championships, and just get prepared for that, so that once you get there, it's familiar and you can perform like you always do.
Justin, you seem to be in a lot of events already as it is. Did it feel any different, any of that pressure that Coach talked about, or were you just ready to go try and continue on what you did in the indoor?
Well, because of indoor being in so many events, just being in this many events now and outdoor, just like it's kind of normal now. I'm happy he put me in all those events because I'm used to it, so I'm able to perform better with all those events.
Coach, when you look at it and you see such good performances, is that for you a moment to really rejoice, or is it kind of a little bit worrisome that you're worried they're peaking too early?
No, well, I guess it could be a double-edged sword, but like I'll tell them, at our first indoor meet, like I've said before, don't expect great performances right now. If we're hitting great performances right now, we're not going to be at our best in May, and that's actually what they're starting to see. What those guys, the new people in the program, are starting to see that, and the people that have been here, realize that that's what takes place, and so. The volume of great performances we had this weekend was a little, not concerning, but I was wondering what was going on, and when I just look at the jumps, the sprints, and the throws, the performances were great. The distance were equally as good, but to see that many, it's concerning, but it just tells me that my assistant coaches are doing what needs to be done, and the athletes are fulfilling those requirements, and to get them to do multiple events is so good right now, because if we hold off and wait till the conference championship, it's not going to happen. It's going to be too much pressure, and so getting them used to it now, but then to see the kind of results, these are kind of results we see at the conference meet. So if this is an indication of what potentially can happen, and I'm hoping, and I think the question's a good question. I think, I hope we're not doing the things that make them peak, but it's a system we've been following for the last 15 years. So I have faith in the system, faith in my coaches, and I think we'll be fine.
Before you guys go into one of the, I think it's Stanford you guys have in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You still have one more kind of maybe what Coach Springall called a warm-up meet with Riverside. Or what are you looking at of your athletes from that meet?
We're going into it kind of as a team because it's a team scored meet. There's about 8 schools there. A lot of the big West schools obviously are going to be there. I think in-state school, Utah State's going to be there. And so it'll be, what it does is just, it pushes the envelope. I mean, if we go to a meet where there's not a lot of talent, we could win the meet, but we're not going to get athletes to rise like they did this weekend. So what this does is get them, it's like a ladder. Vegas was good, it was an opener, we put pressure on them, they performed. Riverside is going to be a step up, and now obviously Stanford is. When you're at Stanford or you're at some of these other meets around the country, you're shooting for Kansas. I mean, you're shooting to get to the first round of the NCAA. And it's really important to understand that first round of the NCAA, there's only 2 regions in the country for track and field. And the one that we're in, the West region, is every school from Minnesota to Texas, from Texas to San Diego, from San Diego to Washington, and all the schools in between make up that region. And from that region, in each event, only 45 athletes make that descending order list. So the top 45 athletes go on to regionals. From there, the top 5 athletes in each event go to the nationals. So I'm hoping that weekend as Stanford rolls along, and some of these other, Mount Sac rolls along, I think we'll have these guys ready to perform at a level that might get them to Kansas.
Coach, you mentioned it a little bit. How much do you defer or put a lot of trust into your coaches over their individual, Coach Springall over sprints? And how much trust do you put in those coaches to work with the individual groups?
Well, Brent is from the program, and the program, basically my call to them is, here's the sprint program that I started with based on the information that I knew. Take it, Jeremy, utilize it, develop it. Now Jeremy to Willie, who was the Olympic coach from LSU, take it, develop it, let's build on it. From him to Brent, and Brent's done a great job. I think what he has done and what he has added and the things that he has tweaked with the program, the sprint program, like the distance program, like the throw program, I compare, it's like a playbook in football and basketball. It's not things that you just want to hand out. How you peak people, the different workouts you pick, and how you and then how you incorporate it. You can cook a great meal. You can be a great chef, or you can have a great ingredients. Linguine and clam sauce, and you can call 5 people in. You say, here's the recipe. Inevitably, out of those 5 people, someone's going to do a really good job, even though they had the same ingredients. And so with these coaches, they have the plan in front of them, and how they instill it with the athletes and the culture of the team really determines all of the success. So Brent's from the program. He's doing an absolutely fabulous job. Mr. Covart, Jay Covart, Jason's dad, is a U.S. Olympic trial qualifier. He knows his business well. Very confident in him. I am not going to attempt to try to write his workouts at all in any way, shape, or form. He knows what he's doing. I have total faith in him in that regard. And then obviously I handle the distance, and the jumps are kind of like spread out between Brent and Tim.
Jason, do you feel it's kind of what Coach was saying, that pretty close to your individual coach would happen to be your dad in that case?
Yeah. He's doing a really good job, and everyone's improving in all of their specific events, and we're just trying to keep it going.
Justin, what's the dynamic like in the sprinting crew? I mean, very young crew for you. You're one of the oldest in there.
Mm-hmm.
What's that dynamic like between the sprinters and Coach Springall?
I like it because Springhall's young himself, so like we have a better connection. Like he can relate to us more, so I think it just makes coaching for him easier. So yeah.
Well, what do you think makes it easier? Just being younger, and being able to connect with you guys more?
Yeah.
Or
Just him being younger.
okay.
No, really what it is if they start to cry, he'll coddle them and hug them and pat them on the back. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Jason, we heard how Coach Springall relates with the sprinters. How does the coach for Coach Kovar relate with all the throwers as a whole?
He's just as goofy as we are. It's just a fun time at practice, and you can't be too serious about it. You just gotta have a good time and keep working and to improve.
How do you feel that looseness really helps you in your throws?
It helps me a lot. Just gotta be relaxed when you're throwing. If you try too hard, it's not gonna go well. So you just gotta go easy and just work on it over and over again so you can improve.
Anything else for these guys? All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, we're now joined by Danny Ramirez, Scotty Bauman, and Stacy Webb from the Thunderbird Gymnastics team. SUU's coming off a second-place finish in the MRGC Championships, where they matched the school record. Great performance for them there, and they'll be in Salt Lake City, Utah, for regionals on April 2nd. So we'll go ahead and let Scotty make an opening statement about whatever he wants, and then we'll open it up for questions.
I'm really excited where the team's at right now. It was, I think that's some of the best gymnastics we put out there all year out of everybody. And it was nice to be able to put different people in some of those lineups, like Natalie Trejo on bars and Cameron Bear on floor and Natalie on vault. So, you know, those were the first time those ladies have competed in those events all year. So it was good they went in and did a great job, and it was nice because it was able to give Karen Gonzalez and Tylee Bizzuto a little bit more rest going into regionals, and we needed that. I think, you know, the whole plan the whole year has been to get this team to peak at this point in time of the year, and you can tell based on what we did up in Boise, you know, tying our school record on the road, and some of the performances that were done up there and what we look like already in practice this week. So you can tell that our plan is actually coming together pretty nicely.
You mentioned it, Natalie competes all around for the first time, several gymnasts in different spots. Is that nerve-wracking for you as a coach to put them in that position at such a big meet?
And you know what? You would think it would be, but Natalie was so well prepared on bars that I wasn't worried about that as much as I was about her vault. She had only really started retraining vault a couple of weeks ago when we saw the problems coming with Tylee, or a few days ago before that, and so we had a very watered down kind of vault, but we just wanted to keep Natalie safe too. So you know, the plan was if the first 5 hit, we would not even let Natalie go on vault. It was our last event, but at the same time, Natalie was doing so good in the all around, we thought, let's let her do it, and she did a great job. So it wasn't that nerve-wracking. Cameron Bear, I know she hadn't really competed floor that much, and Cam doesn't have the experience of a Natalie Trejo. That one was a little bit more nerve-wracking, but by the time Cameron even got up, our lowest score was a 9.85, so it wasn't. It was nice. She made a 1/4 of a tenth of a difference, and she scored a 9.875 on floor. So, you know, she did a great job. I don't want to minimize what Cameron did, but it wasn't that nerve-wracking. Cam was ready too.
Danny, you tie for the all-around title. I mean, how much fun did you guys have up in Boise?
I think we all had a really good time. We just went in there knowing all the hard work we've put into it just needed to come out that night. And I think we were all there behind each other, and all of that excitement kind of just came together and motivated us to show our best.
How's the all-around feeling for you right now? You know, throughout the year, you know, a few problems on bars here and there, but how are you feeling at this point in the all-around?
I'm really happy that everything is finally coming together, and body-wise, we're making it through, but at the same time, still got to stay focused and one thing at a time, and I'm really happy with the results.
Training the all-around's hard. It takes a lot on your body, you know, and being able to give Danny rest here and there when we need to, it's been very important. So we've got to take it easy on Danny as much as we can, but yet push her to that level of gymnastics every day.
2 weeks until regionals. How are you going to take advantage of that time?
That's a great question. We actually gave them the day off yesterday. We wanted, you know, one of the most important things they can get at this point in time of the season is rest. You know, keep their strength and everything up, but they need to get a lot of rest. Mm-hmm. And you know, that was one of the biggest things. So we gave them Monday off. We'll give them Wednesday off also tomorrow, and then we'll hit it hard on Thursday and Friday, and then next week we'll go 3 days in a row, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But we'll go light on Wednesday, you know, so then they'll have a travel day on Thursday, so they won't practice. So they'll basically have a day and a half off going into the practice day on Friday. So I think that's what our plan is right now. You know, the most important thing we need right now is just rest and to take it easy on their bodies a little bit. Their routines and their gymnastics is completely ready to go.
Coach, with Cam and Natalie hitting pretty well this past weekend, does that create some more trying to figure out what you're going to do with the lineups for regionals, or are they still pretty well set where you want them to be?
You know what? It does actually. Natalie's performance on bars I thought was incredibly good. So you have to consider her still on the bar lineup. Our plan going into that meet was we'd keep Tylee Bizzuto in on the 6th spot. Tylee's a very safe bar routine. She's a very seasoned competitor. She started on our bar team for the last 3 years. So we know Tylee, we know what we're going to get with Tylee. We know she can go out there and hit. But if the first 5 kids hit, which they did and they looked amazing, then we'd give Natalie a shot. And we were able to, in our rules, you can switch that out, you know, as long as you don't switch where they're at in the lineup. So we just swapped Tylee for Natalie, gave Natalie a shot, and she did a great job. I think going forward, we're going to keep the same plan on bars. We'll keep Tylee in there and have Natalie ready. If the first 5 hit and give Natalie a shot, they give her a shot. It was pretty much like we were doing with Dan on the Ray for a few weeks there. So if everybody hit, we turn her loose on it. If they don't, she goes with her old routine and we're all good. So,
how much preparation did Cam and Natalie have to get in to do their routines on Saturday? Did they know for a couple hours, or was it one of your 15 minutes before routines went going?
Well, Nat didn't know until the second she got on the bars, really. So she was prepared, but she naturally should have assumed that Tylee was going, you know, because that's who was in the lineup. Cameron knew a couple of days before. We told her that we were going to, but Cameron's been ready for a long time. She's a very good floor worker. So, and the great thing was that one of the biggest things Cameron and Natalie both needed to get from that meet in those positions was just the confidence that they were that good, and that clearly happened. So,
Stacy, what did tying the school record mean to you guys?
It means a lot, just knowing we finally put everything together, and even still we had a lot of mistakes and we were able to get that good of a score, and it lets us know that we have the potential to get even higher and do much better.
When did you guys find out, and was there a big reaction, or was it just kind of like, oh, good, cool?
We kind of found out during awards. I didn't know the old school record, so I just saw the score and thought, oh, like, we did good. We got mid 196. Like, that's what we should have been scoring all season. So it just felt nice.
the old record actually occurred in 2004. So that's held up for 12 years. And it was, I mean, this team's had the potential to do it. And this team has the potential. We had 9 girls take steps on their landings on bars and ball. On those 2 events alone, we had 9 girls take steps on their landings. If even half of those, do it, then we potentially beat Boise. That's 2.5, 3/10 of bonus you get back. So, we know we can do this. We've just got to really go up to Utah and put really our best foot forward. And we did that in Boise, but we can still do just a little bit better, and that's what they're going for this week and next week.
You mentioned it, going up to Utah, the regional, Utah, UCLA, Washington, Illinois, Utah State. Pretty familiar with 2 of those opponents. You've seen 2 of them this season. Just what are your thoughts on the regional?
You know what the beauty about our sport is that, we proved it against the University of Michigan. On any given night, any team can beat anybody. And I can assure you, our team can beat anybody. I'm not worried about UCLA or Washington or Utah or Illinois or any of those teams. Make no question, we want to beat them. But at the same time, there's no way we do that if we don't go up and do our job and hit our gymnastics. And, so it really does, that's all that matters right now. And Utah State, we've seen them a couple of times, 3 times this year, and Utah, we've seen them. They're very good. They're both very good. And we know UCLA is incredibly strong. So, it'll depend on, if the judges are going to judge what they see in front of them in the routines and not already have a predetermined idea of who's the best 2 teams out there and let teams get away with small little errors that shouldn't get away with them, and and punish other teams for doing excellent gymnastics. So,
Stacy, how much more pressure is it? I know that perfectionism has kind of been a theme for you this year. How much more pressure do you feel as you head into regionals?
I don't really feel that much pressure going into regionals. It's been just the same ride this whole year. Just every week is a meet, and you just go out and do your job, and you'll be happy. So,
Danny, the Huntsman Center, kind of a familiar environment for you guys. What's it like competing? As Scotty laughs, what's it like competing in that building?
At first, my first time was a shocker, noticing how big it was, and you can't really imagine that big of a crowd, and it happened. And my freshman year, we all learned from that, and I feel like this is kind of a good way to just get back and really have the audience as motivation and just use their support for us.
Memories are running back, Scotty, of interviewing you after that meet.
That was clearly one of the worst meets we've ever had. But at the same time, the same freshman class and the same group of young ladies that really struggled up at the Huntsman Center 2 years ago went there last year and looked absolutely brilliant. So they know what they're doing. I trust in that group of juniors very, very strongly. I know Natalie has all kinds of experience up there as well. She's competed up there for the last 3 years, so she knows what she's doing too. These guys know what they're doing. We're just worried a little bit more about Cam and Kate. Kate's been in that environment many times with just going to meets, but Cameron hasn't. So, but Cam has shown herself to be very disciplined and very tough in those environments, especially when the pressure's on. She's done a great job. So those 2 both have done a great job all year long. They're really the only 2 we're even a little bit worried about, and we're not really worried about them.
All right, anything else?
I have an off-the-wall question. Natalie Trejo is in the Dancing with the Stars, am I right?
Is she?
Yeah.
She is,
That's what's been advertised. And I was just curious, how does that, kind of tie to gymnastics? Because she'll be dancing and she's on the floor. This is an off-the-wall question.
Well, we have a couple of young ladies on our team that I would not want to dance against in that dance-off. And one of them is in it tonight, and the other one is sitting to my left and my right. These guys are some of the best, most incredible performers and dancers out there, and they love it. Yeah, I don't know if Danny does, but I know Stacy does. I know Natalie does. They live for that stuff. They live to go out there and dance and have fun and do floor.
You guys gonna go out and support that tomorrow night?
Oh, is that tomorrow?
Uh-huh.
Tomorrow night at 7:30.
I really got to find this out.
I want to do it next
There
year.
were flyers around.
Do you?
Dude,
Oh my gosh, you should
I've
do
been
it.
telling
You
you
should
this since
too.
like freshman year.
These guys would kill it. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, they were.
That's kind of like stacking the deck, I think, a little bit.
It is. It's like the one gymnast that was in the actual Dancing of the Stars. What was that? She was
Sean?
Shawn Johnson. Yeah. Didn't she win?
Yeah.
Well, there
Yeah.
you go. That deck was stacked too. She's had years and years and years of dance experience and training and everything, and
Nastia lost though.
she did. That's surprising. She's a beautiful dancer.
All right, thank you guys.
Her partner must have been bad. Thanks, you guys.
Alright, we're now joined by Jordan Tyre, Coach Gray, and Kylie Wolf from the Thunderbird softball team. SU will open Big Sky Conference play this weekend as they'll be in Pocatello to take on Idaho State. So we'll go ahead and let Coach make an opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you guys for being here. We had a real needed, much appreciated, I hope these guys appreciated it, weekend off last weekend, so I'm hoping we're coming back rested. Had a couple good days of practice, and we're looking forward to starting conference play on Friday up in Pocatello.
Jordan, how much was that break needed for you guys?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Sorry. It was really needed. I mean, a lot of us actually went home for the weekend, so it was good to have a refresh with our families and whatnot, and then come back with our heads screwed on the right way. So.
Yeah, that was my question. That was my question. So,
Coach, heading into Big Sky play here, Idaho State's first on deck. What are you seeing out of the conference? Some pretty strong teams looking like.
Yeah, I think the conference is strong. I think it's going to be a good conference season for us. I think we're going to play well and we'll do fine. I don't think it compares to the preseason schedule we played. So we'll see. I'm excited about getting started. It's kind of like a new leaf, turning over, a new start and clean slate. I'm really excited about it.
these games are the ones that now really count towards the postseason. How is the transition from preseason to conference play?
Well, like I say, I don't think that the competition levels is going to be as high. I mean, I don't think they have any Danielle O'Toole's or Taylor McQuillan's pitching in the conference yet, so that's going to help us a lot. I think our kids are going to come in more confident. I think they've worked hard enough and they've seen enough good competition that they deserve to be confident. They deserve to go in there and feel like they can play well and win more than their share of games.
What's the trick, Coach, to making sure that the team doesn't see like a drop off in who they're playing? Like you mentioned, the pre-conference is a little bit going to be tougher competition. How do you make sure that the competition level stays the same throughout conference for your team?
I think our kids are hungry enough right now. I mean, you ask these two, I think they pretty much want to go out and beat somebody. Like go out and they want to run rule somebody pretty soon here. So I don't know that it's going to be a problem for that. They're hungry right now.
How do you see the younger with such a young team? How do you see the younger players developing as you head into conference?
A couple of them really coming along nice. Chelsea Martinez had made some big strides, done really well. We think Kendall Kapitsky is going to be back and healthy finally. She's moving really good in practice, hitting the ball like she was in the fall. So that's going to be a huge addition. I gotta say, Emily Sweet has surprised in how much she's improved, and she's just steady, kid that I can depend on, and then just an overall really good kid too, like a kid that you want to have around. So I'm happy with the progress of those freshmen.
How do you two players serve as leaders for those freshmen?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I act and they follow.
Follow by example,
I'm not
right?
much vocally
You follow by
into
example,
it with
right?
a lot of them. I think Jordan demonstrates more leadership that way than I ever have. But
I don't agree with that. I think she's a leader. I look up to her in more ways than she knows. So definitely, she's a leader on the field.
It's kind of funny. She'll never assume that she's a leader, but everything she does is scrutinized by everybody on the team. Everybody looks at her. And, today during BP, she's out there diving for balls in the outfield, and of course, then the next person is, and the next person's working really hard on getting good jumps on the ball because she is. She's very deep in the way she acts, and if she says 2 words for you, you're going to hang on those 2 words. Jordan's a little more vocal leader, but she's the kid that's going to be in the circle when it matters, and everybody looks to her like, hey, when Jordan's going good, we're going good. And so she leads that way. She's a little more vocal. She'll speak her mind. She'll encourage everybody. She's a little more in all the positive senses of being a cheerleader.
Jordan, how has it felt to be back into the circle this season after not really pitching last season?
It's everything, honestly, that I could ask for. I didn't think last year that I was missing such a big piece, but being back in the circle, it's definitely made me a lot happier. And obviously, I haven't done as well as I hoped to do during preseason. But like Coach said, just turning over that leaf and now going hungry after these conference teams.
Kylie, going against conference opponents, familiar ballparks, some familiar opponents, what is the feel like? Is the feel any different than the preseason?
Absolutely. I would say that preseason, a lot of people have different mentalities going into it, but conference, I think one thing that we've always been very consistent as with the team is every time we've gone into conference, it's like, okay, we have to win these games now because these are the games that matter. So it's definitely a different mindset, although we should have that mindset the entire season, but it always seems to send somewhat of a spark plug as soon as conference begins. And I think it's good that, at least I'm excited to go to ISU because, for one, I love their field, so it would be something better and more consistent compared to maybe something at home that's not quite prepared yet. But I think it's going to be good.
You mentioned you love their field. Do you have a favorite park to play at in the Big Sky?
Considering they've always hosted the tournament, I would say that I'm most comfortable playing there because I've had multiple opportunities to play there. But I don't know.
What makes it comfortable?
The consistency, I would say. I like that their corners are shorter than their center. It's not 220 all around. I like that it's 200 on the corners. Offensively, from my standpoint. But defensively, I think it gives, because they're definitely a powerhouse when it comes to the offensive side. They've always been pretty strong offensively. So I think it's given somewhat our outfielders to kind of expand their zones a little bit, to play a little deeper, to have more range and whatnot.
Didn't you hit 2 home runs in the first game of the conference tournament last year? Or was it 1 in each game? Conference tournament, you hit a home run in the first game. Did you hit 2?
I thought I just hit 1.
Stats.
Jordan, you guys are 1 week away from playing at home. How ready are you guys for that?
I think we're all pretty ready to be somewhere we're comfortable with in the dirt that we've been practicing on all year. And even just getting the support around the community, because we'll know that this is like our time to kind of shine and whatnot.
As long as it doesn't snow like it
exactly.
is.
It's supposed to be 60 next weekend. So,
Coach, if I'm remembering right, was it you who said that the team had some work to do on their cheers for the game? How are they?
Yeah, that's really not my department. I'm not a big cheer guy, but they feel that they get into it, and yeah, they're not the best orchestrated cheers. Some other teams are a little slicker at that, but just the fact that they stay involved with each other and they stay focused, that helps.
Anything else? All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.